The hotel hallway smelled like clean soap and soft flowers. The carpet was thick and red under my shoes. My heart was beating so loud I thought the walls could hear it. She was standing very close to me, my boss's wife. Her hand touched my arm. Light, slow, like she was testing fire. Then she leaned in, her lips near my ear, and whispered in a soft voice that still rings in my head even now, "Take me somewhere private." Time froze. My mouth went dry. My hands started to shake, and before I could answer, the elevator doors opened behind us. I turned to look, and someone I never expected to see was standing right there, staring straight at us. Before I tell you what happened next, let me tell you how I got here, because nothing in my life had ever prepared me for that moment, and everything changed after it. But first, tell me something. Where are you watching this from right now? Your home? Your car? Your bed? Wherever you are, thank you for being here with me. My name is Ethan Miller. I am 28 years old. I am a white man from Ohio. And until last year, I believed very strongly in kindness, honesty, and doing the right thing. I still do. But life tested me in ways I never imagined. This story is about temptation, about loyalty, about silence, and about how one small whisper can destroy many lives. It all started when I got a new job. I worked as an assistant manager at a small construction supply company in Columbus. The company belonged to a man named Richard Thompson. Richard was 45 years old, tall, strong, always wore clean suits. He was a hard man, but fair. He paid on time. He spoke clearly. He respected hard work. When he hired me, he looked me in the eyes and said, "If you work honestly, I will protect you." I believed him. Richard was married to a woman named Laura Thompson. She was 39, beautiful in a quiet way, long brown hair, soft voice, always smiling, but her eyes looked lonely, very lonely. At first, I only saw her sometimes. She would visit the office to bring Richard lunch. She would greet everyone kindly. "Good afternoon, Ethan." She always remembered my name. That meant a lot to me. I grew up poor. My father left when I was 6. My mother worked 2 jobs. I learned early that kindness mattered, that small words could save big hearts. So when Laura smiled at me, I smiled back. When she asked how my day was, I told her. Nothing more, nothing strange, just respect. Months passed. Work was busy. One day, Richard asked me to help with a business trip. We were going to a nearby city to meet a big client. He said, "Ethan, I trust you. You come with me." I felt proud, very proud. Laura came too. She said she wanted to see the city. The drive was long, 4 hours. Richard talked on the phone most of the time. Laura sat in the back seat. Sometimes she asked me questions. "Where did you grow up? Do you live alone? Do you have a girlfriend?" I answered politely. I said no girlfriend. She smiled softly. We arrived at the hotel in the evening. It was a big hotel, bright lights, soft music. The lobby smelled expensive. Richard checked us in. 3 rooms, one for him, one for Laura, one for me. Before we went to our rooms, Richard said, "Let's eat dinner first." We sat in the hotel restaurant. Richard talked business. Laura barely touched her food. She kept looking at me, not in a bad way, just long looks, quiet looks. I tried not to notice. After dinner, Richard said he was tired. He said he had early meetings. He stood up and kissed Laura on the cheek. "Good night, my love." Then he looked at me. "Good night, Ethan. Big day tomorrow." He went upstairs alone. Laura and I stayed behind. She said she wanted tea. We sat at a small table near the window. The city lights were shined outside. She looked sad, very sad. I asked, "Are you okay, ma'am?" She smiled weakly. "Please call me Laura." She took a deep breath. "Sometimes I feel invisible," she said. I didn't know what to say, so I listened. She talked about her marriage, about how Richard only cared about work, about how lonely hotels felt, about how silence hurt. I told her about my mother, about growing up alone, about learning to be strong. She looked at me with soft eyes. Ethan, you are very kind. That night ended quietly. Nothing happened. I went to my room. I slept badly. The next day was full of meetings. Richard was busy. Laura stayed in the hotel. In the evening, Richard said he had a late dinner with clients. He asked me to stay in my room and rest. Laura called my room. She said, Ethan, can you help me carry some bags? I bought too many things. I said, yes, of course. I went to her room. She thanked me. We laughed a little. She offered me water. We talked again. Nothing strange, but something felt different. Her voice was softer. Her eyes stayed on mine longer. When I stood to leave, she touched my hand. Just a second, but my heart jumped. I left quickly. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her sadness, her loneliness. I prayed for wisdom. I prayed to stay strong. The next morning, Richard said we would return home later that day. He said first we needed to check some files in the business center. Laura said she wanted to walk around the hotel. Hours passed. In the afternoon, Richard got an urgent call. He said he had to rush to another meeting across town. He said to me, Ethan, stay here with Laura. I will pick you both later. He left fast, very fast. Laura and I were alone. She asked if I could walk with her. Just inside the hotel, we walked slowly. We talked about life, about dreams, about fears. She said, do you believe people deserve second chances? I said yes. She said, do you believe good people suffer more? I said sometimes. Then we stopped near the elevators. The hallway was quiet, no one around. She looked nervous. Her hands were shaking. Ethan, she said, can I tell you something? I nodded. My marriage is dying, she whispered. I felt pain for her, real pain. She stepped closer, too close. I stepped back a little. She looked hurt. I'm sorry, she said. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. I said, it's okay. I respect your husband. She nodded slowly. We stood in silence. Then she said, let's go to the lobby and wait for Richard. We walked toward the elevators, and that is when it happened. The hallway, the red carpet, the clean smell, her hand on my arm, her breath on my ear. Take me somewhere private. My heart almost stopped. I turned to speak, to say no, going to step away, but the elevator doors opened behind us, and someone was standing there. Someone who should not have been there. Someone who knew both of us very well. Their eyes were wide, their face was pale. And in that moment, I knew this trip was about to become a nightmare, and I had no idea how I would escape it. For a long moment after the elevator doors closed, neither of us moved. The hallway felt smaller, quieter, like the walls were listening. Laura pulled her hand away from my arm and stepped back. Her face was pale now, her lips were shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. I don't know what came over me. I swallowed hard, my throat hurt. It's okay, I said softly. Let's just wait in the lobby. She nodded quickly. We walked in silence. Every step felt heavy. In the lobby, we sat far apart. No touching, no whispers, just quiet. 10 minutes later, Richard returned. He looked tired but calm. Sorry for the delay, he said. Ready to go home? Laura smiled like nothing had happened. I forced a smile too. Inside, I felt sick. The ride home was quiet. Richard talked about business. Laura stared out the window. I watched the road. When we arrived, Richard thanked me. You did well on this trip, Ethan. I went home and locked my door. That night I did not sleep. I kept hearing her voice. Take me somewhere private. I told myself it was over, that it would never happen again. I was wrong. The next week, Laura started coming to the office more often. She would bring lunch. She would sit in the waiting area. She would ask me small questions. How was your mother? Did you sleep well? Always gentle, always quiet. I tried to keep distance, but kindness is hard to refuse. One afternoon, Richard asked me to stay late to finish reports. Laura stayed too. When Richard left early, she walked to my desk. Thank you for helping my husband so much, she said. You're welcome, I replied. She leaned closer, not touching, just close. You're a good man, Ethan. I nodded. I did not trust myself to speak. Days passed. Nothing happened, but tension grew, like a storm building in the sky. Then one evening, Laura called my phone. I was surprised. She had never called me before. Ethan, she said softly, I'm not feeling well. Richard is out of town. Could you come help me? I feel dizzy. My heart raced. I hesitated, but kindness won. I'll come, I said. Her house was big, quiet, too quiet. She opened the door in a long sweater. Her hair was loose. She looked tired. I brought her water. She sat on the couch. She thanked me. We talked. She said she felt lonely again. She said she felt invisible again. I listened. I told her she mattered, that her life was important. She smiled sadly. Ethan, do you ever feel like life gives you one moment to choose who you are? I said yes. She stood up slowly. She walked closer, very slowly. I stood up too. My heart was pounding. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. I can't, I said. This is wrong. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to trap you. She turned away. I left quickly. I drove home, shaking. I promised myself I would never be alone with her again. For weeks I avoided her. I asked Richard to send someone else when she came. I stayed busy. Then one morning, Richard called me into his office. His face was serious. Ethan, he said, Laura says you've been very kind to her lately. My stomach dropped. She says you listen to her, that you help her when she's lonely. I stayed calm. I just try to be respectful, sir. He nodded slowly. I trust you, he said. Those words hurt more than anything. Months passed. Everything seemed normal. Until one day, Richard asked me to go on another trip, another hotel, another city. My heart sank. I need you there, he said. Laura smiled gently when she heard. On the drive, no one spoke much. At the hotel, we got rooms again. That night, Richard went to dinner with clients. Laura and I stayed behind. She did not talk much. She only said, let's walk. We walked the hallway, slow, quiet. Then she stopped, looked at me. Her eyes were full of tears. Ethan, please, I can't do this alone anymore. I stepped back. No, please, this ends now. She nodded sadly. I understand. We went back to our rooms. I thought it was finally over. But later that night, someone knocked on my door. Soft knock, slow knock. My heart froze. I opened it. Laura stood there, tears on her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I needed to say goodbye to these feelings. Before I could answer, she leaned forward and kissed me. Just for 1 second. Then she pulled back, shocked at herself. I'm so sorry, she cried and ran away. I stood frozen. The hallway was empty. Or so I thought. Because at the end of the hallway, a shadow moved. A door closed softly. And I realized someone might have seen us. And this time, it might not stay a secret. I stood in the hallway long after Laura ran back to her room. My lips still felt warm. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it would tear out of my chest. I looked at the closed doors. One of them had moved. One of them had hidden a shadow. Someone had been there. Someone might have seen everything. I went back into my room and locked the door. I slid down the wall and sat on the floor. I felt dirty, not because of the kiss, but because of the silence. Because I had not shouted, because I had not run fast enough, because I had allowed 1 second to happen. That night I did not sleep at all. Every sound made me jump. Every step in the hallway made my heart stop. Morning came slowly, too slowly. At breakfast, Richard looked normal, calm, smiling. Laura did not come down. Richard said she had a headache. We finished our work and drove home. The ride felt longer than before. No one spoke. I watched the road and prayed. When we returned, I told myself this was the end. I would leave this job. I would find a new life. I would protect everyone. 2 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Ethan? It was Laura. My chest tightened. Please, don't hang up, she said. I won't, I said quietly. I need to talk to you, she said. Just once, somewhere safe. I said no. She cried. I swear this is not what you think, she said. Someone is watching me. That scared me. What do you mean? I asked. I think someone saw us in the hallway, she whispered, and now they are sending me messages. My heart dropped. What messages? She sent me a picture. It was blurry, but clear enough. Me, her, in the hallway, her lips near mine, time frozen in shame. Under it, one line of text. Tell your husband, or I will. My hands went cold. Who sent this? I asked. I don't know, she cried. No name, no number. Silence filled the call. Finally, I said, we must tell Richard. No, she said fast. Please. It will destroy him. Destroy us. I closed my eyes. I thought of Richard's words. I trust you. I thought of my mother, of honesty, of kindness. This will get worse, I said. She whispered, meet me, please. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a small coffee shop far from town. She wore a hat and dark glasses. She looked scared. She showed me more messages, pictures from different angles, from different days. Someone had been watching us for a long time. Who would do this? I asked. She shook her head. I don't know, but someone wants to destroy me. I thought. Then I remembered the young woman in the elevator, the blonde girl, the shocked face. I asked, who was that woman in the elevator? Laura froze like, I think she works at the hotel, she said. I saw her later that night cleaning the hallway. My heart sank. She may have taken pictures, I said. Laura began to cry. What do we do? She asked. I made a decision, a hard one. We protect the truth, I said, but we do not lie. I went to Richard that same day. I asked him to meet me privately. He looked surprised. We sat in his office. I took a deep breath. Sir, someone is trying to hurt your family. He frowned. What do you mean? I showed him the messages, the pictures. His face changed slowly. Shock, confusion, pain, but not anger. Not yet. Did you touch my wife? He asked quietly. No, I said. She kissed me once. I stopped it. I swear. He closed his eyes for a long time. Then he said something I will never forget. Thank you for telling me the truth. That night he talked to Laura. Long talk, many tears, many truths. She confessed to her loneliness, her weakness, her mistake. Richard did not shout. He only said, we fix this, or we end it with honesty. The next day the messages stopped. No more pictures, no more threats. Weeks passed, nothing happened. One afternoon, Richard called me into his office again. He smiled sadly. Ethan, I sold the company. I was shocked. I'm moving with Laura, I said. We need a new life. He shook my hand. You saved my marriage. Kasi even when you could have destroyed it. Laura sent me one last message. Thank you for choosing kindness. They left town. I found a new job, a new life. Months later, I saw news about a hotel worker arrested for blackmail. A blonde woman, young, greedy, and suddenly, well, everything made sense. Today I am married. I tell my wife this story, not because of shame, but because of lesson. That kindness matters. That honesty saves lives. And that one whisper can change everything. If you are watching this and facing temptation, remember this. The right choice is always quiet, but its reward is peace. Thank you for listening to my story, and wherever you are watching from, I hope your heart chooses the light. I thought the story had ended. I truly did. When Richard and Laura left town, when the blackmailer was arrested, when my life slowly returned to quiet, I believed the danger was over. I believed peace had finally chosen me. But life, well, life sometimes waits. Sometimes it stays silent. And then, when you are sure you are safe, it comes back with sharper teeth. 3 years passed. I moved to a new city. I found a better job. I met a woman named Emily. She was kind, soft-spoken, had a laugh that made you feel warm inside. We married after 1 year. She knew my past, all of it. Not in detail, but enough. She trusted me, and I trusted her. For the first time in my life, I felt truly calm. Every morning, I woke beside her and thanked God. I thought temptation was behind me. I thought secrets were buried. I was wrong. It began on a rainy Tuesday evening. I came home late from work. Emily was cooking. The house smelled like tomatoes and garlic. She smiled when she saw me. "You're late," she said. "Big meeting," I replied. We ate dinner. We talked about small things, her sister, my boss, weekend plans, everything normal. Then, as she cleared the table, her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Her face changed. Just a little, but I saw it. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yes," she said quickly. "Just spam." She put the phone away, but something in her voice felt tight. That night, as we lay in bed, she turned her back to me. She usually fell asleep holding my hand. That night, she did not. The next morning, she left early, did not kiss me goodbye, did not smile. My chest felt heavy. 2 days later, I received an email. No name, no subject, just one line. "Do you really think your wife deserves the truth?" My blood went cold. My hands shook. Attached was a photo. Me, years ago, standing in that hotel hallway, Laura's face near mine. A moment I had buried deep. I stared at the screen. My heart beat so hard I felt sick. Below the photo was a message. "Secrets don't die. They wait." I deleted the email. I told myself it was nothing. An old ghost. A mistake, but that night, Emily did not come to bed. I found her sitting in the living room staring at her phone. Her eyes were red. She looked at me slowly. "Who is Laura?" she asked. The room spun. I sat down. I said nothing. She showed me her phone, messages, photos. More than one. From different days. From different years. Someone had kept everything. Someone had waited. "Tell me the truth," she whispered. "Please." So I did, love it, from the room, to the hotel, to the kiss, to the blackmailer, to Richard, to the arrest, every word. When I finished, the room was silent. Emily cried. Quiet tears, not angry, just broken. "I trusted you," she said. "I never slept with her," I said. "I swear." "I believe you," she said softly. "But why now? Why is like send this after all these years?" I did not know. The next day, the messages came again. To both of us. New pictures, new angles, more threats. "Leave him, or I tell everyone. Ruin his life, or I ruin yours." My heart dropped. Who could this be? The hotel worker was in prison. Laura and Richard were gone. No one else knew. Then I noticed something. The pictures were not only from the past, some were recent. Pictures of me at work, me at the grocery store, me walking with Emily. Someone was watching us now. I went to the police. I showed them everything. They opened an investigation. They checked IP addresses, phone towers, emails, but the sender was careful, too careful. Days passed. Emily barely spoke to me. She slept in the guest room. Trust was bleeding out slowly. One evening I came home to find the front door open. The house was quiet, too quiet. "Emily?" I called. No answer. I ran inside. Her phone lay on the table. Screen on. One message. "Come alone if you want her safe." My knees nearly gave out. Another message came with an address, an old warehouse by the river. I called the police. They said to wait. They said they would handle it, but fear is louder than reason. I got in my car. I drove fast. Rain fell hard. The city lights blurred. My hands shook on the wheel. The warehouse stood dark and empty. One light on the second floor. I climbed the stairs slowly. My heart pounded. At the door, I heard a voice, Emily's voice, crying, "Please let me go." I pushed the door open. Inside stood a man, tall, thin, dark jacket, face half hidden by shadow. Emily sat tied to a chair. Her eyes met mine. Relief, fear, pain. "Let her go," I said. The man laughed softly. "Hello, Ethan," he said. His voice felt familiar. He stepped into the light, and my blood froze. It was the young man from my first job, Daniel, the intern, Richard's nephew. I stared. "You?" I whispered. He smiled. "Yes, me." "But why?" He laughed again. "Because you ruined my family." I shook my head. "I saved them." "No," he said sharply. "You exposed them." He told me everything, how he had suspected Laura for years, how he followed her, how he paid the hotel worker for the first pictures, how he kept watching, waiting. He wanted Richard's company. He wanted revenge. But when Richard sold everything and left, Daniel lost his chance. So he waited. For me. For my happiness. "So you destroy what I love," he said. "I destroy what you love." My hands trembled. "Please," I said, "this ends now." He smiled. "Not yet." He raised his phone, camera on. "Confess," he said. "Say you loved Laura. Say you betrayed your boss." "No," I said. He pointed a knife at Emily's throat. "Say it." Time slowed. Every breath hurt. And in that moment, I realized something. Sometimes doing the right thing once is not enough. Sometimes you must fight for it again. And I knew whatever I chose next would decide the rest of my life, and maybe whether Emily would live to see another sunrise. The knife was cold, not on my skin, but in my mind. Because when someone points a knife at the person you love, time breaks, sound fades, breath disappears, and every choice becomes heavy. Emily's hands were tied behind her back. Her face was wet with tears. Her eyes were begging me, not with words, with fear, with love, with trust. Daniel stood between us. His smile was thin, empty, angry. "Say it," he repeated. "Confess. Say you loved Laura. Say you betrayed my uncle." I shook my head slowly. "No," I said, "I will not lie." His eyes burned. "Then she dies." He pressed the knife closer to Emily's neck. A thin red line appeared. My heart screamed. "Stop!" I shouted. My voice broke. "Please, she has nothing to do with this." Daniel laughed. "Everything has to do with this," he said, "because you walked away with a clean life. I looked at Emily. I love you, I whispered. Her lips trembled. I love you too, she said. And then I made a choice, a dangerous one. I loved Laura, said. I said loudly. Daniel froze. His smile grew. Yes, he said. Good. I loved her, I continued, as a human being, as someone who was hurting. But I never touched her. I never betrayed your uncle, and I never planned to. His smile slowly faded. That's not what I asked, he said. I betrayed no one, I said. The only man betraying anyone here is you. He shouted in anger. You think you're better than me? No, I said. I think you are broken. He lifted the knife higher. I took one step forward. Daniel, listen to me, I said calmly. My life is not perfect. I made mistakes, but I fixed them. You are destroying your own life right now. He shook his head wildly. You took everything from me. I took nothing, I said. You chose this path. He screamed, his hands shook. And that saved us, because fear makes hands weak, and weak hands make mistakes. In that second, Emily kicked the chair hard. It fell sideways. Daniel's balance broke. The knife slipped from his fingers. I jumped forward. We crashed into each other. We hit the floor. He was thinner than me. We struggled. He tried to punch me. I hit back. Years of fear turned into strength. We rolled across the floor. He reached for the knife. I kicked it away. He screamed and grabbed my throat. I felt air leave my lungs. My vision darkened. And then, police sirens, loud, close. Blue light flashed through the broken windows. Daniel froze. His grip loosened. Doors crashed open. Police, don't move. He tried to run, but hands grabbed him, pushed him down, cuffed him. Emily cried loudly. I ran to her. I untied her shaking hands. I held her tight. She cried into my chest. I cried too. The nightmare was over. Or so I thought. Daniel was arrested that night. He confessed to everything. The pictures, the blackmail, the kidnapping, the plan. He said he hated me. But more than that, he hated himself. The trial came months later. I had to tell the whole story, in court, in public, every detail, every shame, every fear. People whispered, some judged, some understood. The judge sentenced Daniel to many years in prison. When they took him away, he looked at me once, not angry, just tired, empty. I did not feel victory, only sadness. Because one broken heart had destroyed many lives. Emily and I went to therapy together, then separately, then together again. Trust is not fixed fast. It grows slowly, like a small plant after a storm. Some days were good, some days were hard. Sometimes she cried at night. Sometimes I woke from dreams of knives in hallways. But we talked, we listened, we healed. One evening, months later, Emily took my hand and said something I will never forget. You did not ruin your life, she said. You saved it twice. Years passed again. Quiet years. Peaceful years. We had a daughter named Grace. Because that is what saved us, Grace. I left the city, found a job teaching young men about honesty, about choices, about kindness. And now, I tell this story, not to scare you, not to shame anyone, but to teach one simple truth. Life will test you, not once, not twice, but many times. And the right choice is rarely loud. It does not come with praise. It often comes with pain, but it leads to peace. If you are watching this and standing near temptation, step back. If you are holding a secret, face it. If you are afraid, choose honesty, because one whisper can destroy lives, but one brave choice can save them. Thank you for listening to my story, and wherever you are watching from, I hope your heart always finds the right path.